tell us about your book.
My book, the first one is called Sing Sweet Nightingale. It's the first of a 4-book series called the Dream War Saga, and my editors like describing it as Alice in Wonderland meets Beetlejuice.
Oh.
And it's kind of a parallel universe dream world, and there are these creatures that live there. They come into your head while you're sleeping and basically steal things out of your brain. So like these talents that people have, somebody could be a really amazing artist, or they could be like a leader, or almost like a telepath. You can just look at people and kind of guess what they're thinking. It's like they take those skills, and if they do, you drop into a coma. You never come out of it ever again. And so there's a girl named Mariella and a boy named Hudson, and Hudson has kind of survived his encounter with these creatures, and Mariella is still in their thrall, and she thinks it's amazing because when they have you, it's like they're your best friend and everything is fantastic, and you get to ride across fields on unicorns, and she's like, this is great. And so he has to kind of convince her, it's like, no, this is not as good as you think it is, really bad things are coming. And it's a book about strength and family and the will to make mistakes and then forgive yourself for them, and a lot of other things. It's a story that's been living in my head for a really long time. It's still a little surreal that other people can be like, I read your book.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I love it. It's been a really, really exciting, strange journey.
How do you time that out, knowing that there's 4 books in this series? How do you plot that out with your story?
Well, I had an original concept for 3, and then once I started working with my editorial team at Spencer Hill, they dug into it and found things that I didn't even know were there, and they're like, this was really interesting, why don't you talk about that more? And so suddenly it was 4 books. And we kind of knew ahead of time, in general, like, well, this needs to happen in this book, and this needs to happen in this book, but the details for me really come out while I'm writing it. And so, like, I'll figure things out as I go and be like, oh, well, I didn't know that before. I guess that's why that happened earlier.
Yeah.
So everything kind of unfolds for me as I'm not a plotter. Like, I don't know, like, 15 chapters in advance, like, this is what they're going to say on page 363.
Right.
So for me, everything kind of involves as I get to know the characters and the more I know the world. And so it's, as far as the releases go, it's going to be probably 1 a year until the series is done. So we'll see.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, the second book is in edits, so it's already on its way out.
Do you write anything? Are you writing anything else right now as well, or are you just focusing on this?
Yes. I've got my agent Danielle Ciotti is trying to sub a couple of different things, and so I've got a contemporary series I'm trying to sell and a fantasy series I'm trying to sell, and then I'm writing a thriller. So it's kind of all over the map a little bit. So anybody who becomes a fan of me is going to have to genre jump with me. Because I read everything, and so when I started writing, I was like, I want to write all of it.
Right. You don't want to.
It keeps things interesting because all of when you jump worlds like that, the tone changes, the voice is going to change, the characters are completely different. So because it's like a girl who lives in a family of assassins is not going to be the same girl who grew up in a small town in upstate New York. Like
Right.
So it's really interesting to see who those people are and how they evolved. I was a psychology major in college, so the whys of why people do things are really fascinating to me. That's a lot of what I like about writing, is like figuring out the whys.
Right, what motivates them.
Exactly.
Oh, cool. I really can't wait to read it. Thanks so much.
Thank you guys.